Hi guys, hope you got on okay with yesterday's simplifying fractions. Today we're looking at comparing and ordering fractions. So I'm just going to do a little refresh today in case you've completely forgotten our strategies for it. So I've got three fractions here and I want to compare them, and I'm going to use the greater than, the smaller than and the equals symbols to compare them first, and then I'm going to order them, okay? So before I can do that, I've got to make sure that my denominators are the same, because very often we'll see these fractions, think that we know, we'll guess the order, but you can't accurately compare them until their parts are the same size, okay? So their parts, which are shown in the denominator, they must be the same size. So quarters aren't the same size as fifths, fifths aren't the same size as tenths, okay? So I'm going to change all the denominators so that they are the same before I compare and order them. So using our factors and multiples again, I am looking for a multiple of 4, 5 and 10. So it might help you to do your 4 times table at the side, your 5 times table at the side, and your 10 times table at the side. So if I just did that over here, like you would in your book, do my 5s, and if I do my 10s, I can see very quickly that 20 is a common multiple of 4, 5 and 10, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to get my denominators ready, and I am going to use my jumps that I call them, or you call them arrows, to make sure that, again, whatever I'm doing to the bottom I do to the top, whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. So 4 was multiplied by 5, so times 5 times 5, okay. 5 was multiplied by 4, so times 4 times 4. 10 was multiplied by 2 to get 20, so times 2 times 2. Very often in the classroom, when we found mistakes with this, it's because this annotation wasn't put on, okay? So if you find you're getting answers wrong today, check, have you done these? Because if you haven't, that's probably where you're going wrong, because sometimes we do the bottom, but forget to do the top, or you times this one by 5, so you times the next one by 5, but that's a completely different fraction. So just make sure you're doing one at a time, moving on to the next one. What's that multiplied by? Annotate, then do it, okay? There's no point doing it and then annotating. Annotate it first, then find the answer, okay? So now I've got my 3 fractions. So now I can put my greater than and less than symbols in, or you call them crocodiles. So remember, it's not that, oh, this one means greater than, this one means smaller than. That's not how we do those symbols, okay? Remember, the crocodile is greedy, so his mouth, so if you imagine that's his jaw, and that's his big tongue there, okay? He's always going to eat the bigger fraction. So here, I can see that 5/20 is my bigger fraction. So I need to face his mouth this way. And here, 6/20 is my bigger fraction. So I need to face his mouth that way. Okay? If I had any fractions the same, I would use my equal symbol. So if I wanted now to order them from smallest to largest, or we might call this, if we're going from the smallest one to the largest one, that is ascending. That's ascending order. That means it's going bigger. It's going from the smallest one to the largest one. If it was going the other way, if I had the largest first and I was going down to the smallest, that would be descending. So keep an eye out for those on your sheet. So I can see that 4/20 is my smallest one. Then it's 5/20. And then it's 6/20 is the biggest one, okay? Remember, if you've got more than 3 fractions, if you've got 4 or 5 fractions that you need to order, cross out the ones that you've done as you go so you don't end up putting the same fraction twice, okay? So 4/20 was 1/5, 5/20 was 1/4, and 6/20 was 3/10, okay? That is my order. So if we have a look at some mixed number fractions now, exactly the same strategy. Okay, so now I've got to order mixed number fractions. They've all got one whole, so it's not easy guessing. If I had one hole here and 2 holes there and 3 holes there, yes, it might be easier for me to order them because I can see very clearly some of them have got more holes than the other. However, this one isn't clear. It's not a guessing game because I've got one hole for each of them. So I do need to convert them just like I did before. So if we're ordering and comparing these ones, when we're ordering and comparing mixed numbers, you don't need to change them into improper fractions like you would if you were adding them, okay? So you don't need to mess about with the holes, so I'm going to leave those where they are. But what I do need to do is have a look at my denominators here, 7, 3 and 21, and figure out a common multiple of these 3 numbers. Now I can spot straight away, 21 doesn't come in many times tables, but it does come in 7 and 3. So I can change all of these, well, keep this one the same and change these 2 into out of 21. So this one can stay the same because I'm going to use that denominator. So always have a little look when you get a question like this. Always have a look at what the biggest denominator is. So if it's quite a large denominator like 21, has the question given you that to help you? Because the other denominators can go in to that number. They can be turned into that denominator. So always have a little look at the biggest one first. So what do I need to times 7 by to get 21? 3, so times my 2 by 3 is 6. What do I times 3 by to get 21? Times it by 7, so 1 times 7, there we go. Okay, so I can see here now that actually I've got 2 fractions that are the same, okay? So I would be writing here, if I'd ordered it smallest to largest, I would just write these 2 because you've got that one twice. So it would be 1 and 6 out of 21, and the biggest one is 1 and 7 out of 21, okay? On your worksheet, you will end up with 3 different ones, okay, guys? If you wanted to put that one in there as well, I'd just do times 2, okay? If I was going to write this with my symbols, okay, if I was comparing them, again, crocodile eats the biggest one, so he's going to eat that one. And again, same one here, so he's going to eat that one. If I had these two fractions next to each other, I could use my equal symbol, okay? So have a little go at that today. You will be fine. You're really good at this. You're good at your times tables. Hope you've been on Times Tables Rockstars to beat year 5. And good luck.